So, did Sega just have a Nintendo Direct? What's happening, guys? How are you doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back. And jokes aside, of course, Sega did not just have a Nintendo Direct, but they did just have a very random live stream presentation from Japan. This caught a lot of us off guard, but it started to build up some traction over the past 24 hours. And it was pretty exciting. Sega was really pumping this on social media and on Twitter, and it got a lot of people excited. It was definitely something where they were like, hey, some big stuff is going to happen. You should be excited. We're going to have this presentation. It'll be a live stream on Twitch, and check it out and talk about it. And so, of course, check it out we did, and so, of course, talk about it I'm gonna do. Because there's some interesting things to talk about, and it's very curious. I don't want to jump ahead too much. There's some interesting things to talk about. What I will say is, it was weirdly fortuitous because it actually, the live stream started, for me, here on the west coast of the United States, it started right at 6:30, which is literally right as I'm walking out of the door for work. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to be able to kind of have this playing as I drive home, which is not something I recommend. I maybe set my phone up on my dash so I can see through my steering wheel, and I mostly am on the highway driving straight anyway. And so I was able to kind of watch it while I was driving and, of course, listen to it and kind of follow along with what was going on, which, again, you should never do while driving, although maybe I just did that. Anywho, there may not have been a lot to talk about, but let's go ahead and get to the presentation and kind of discuss what happened and what things were announced. So, as I was saying a minute ago, it was pretty weird. I have to say, I don't really think that this actually was meant to be a presentation that was supposed to be such a big deal and hyped up to be this amazing, huge thing. Because it was awkwardly presented, and to be fair, full disclosure, I mean, almost the entire thing was in Japanese, and they did not have a translator. So, I don't speak Japanese. This thing wrapped up like 5 minutes ago, so there isn't a whole lot of confirmed information. I tried to find everything I could in a couple of minutes before getting on here to make a video for you guys. So as far as how things were translated, that part was just unfortunate, but a lot of images, a lot of dates and things coming at us, so I could follow along. Lots of people in the chats and the live streams that I was watching that were able to translate some of the bigger stuff. So that part was tough. I'm going to do the best I can in just the 5 minutes since it wrapped up as somebody who doesn't speak Japanese to kind of talk about what happened here. And to me, the fact that there wasn't a translator makes me feel like it wasn't meant to be this big hyped up worldwide thing. So it's very interesting that it was kind of being teased on social media for everyone all over the world to watch it, because it was very, very hard to follow in that respect. In fact, you know, I cracked the joke about the Nintendo Direct, but to me, it actually felt way more like the Nintendo Switch presentation that Nintendo did back in January last year before the Switch launched, where they revealed what the Joy-Cons were like, the release date, the price, a couple of games, and had some exciting games revealed. And they had that with English dialogue, English translator, excuse me, talking over all of the stuff coming at us. So it really felt more like that, whereas just a very dry, straightforward Japanese presentation to, I think, mostly a Japanese audience. So anyway, so that's what happened, and unfortunately, we couldn't get all the goods right at us. So let's talk about what was actually announced. What I think they were trying to say in the beginning is, we have 4 announcements, 4 things to share with you today, and it's going to be exciting. Hooray, hurrah. Now, we can talk about the first thing, which is Sega Ages, is something that they announced, which is the only thing, as far as I can tell, for the Nintendo Switch that was confirmed today, and it's basically a collection. You can actually see the tweet right here from my man, Super Metal Dave. I'll give him a little bit of that shout out. Sega Ages is announced for the Nintendo Switch, and I guess it's a collection of 15 games for the Nintendo Switch. They are download only, as far as I can see. This is not supposed to be a retail package or in a cartridge or anything, which is sad. And there's been plenty of other Sega compilation releases and stuff over the years, and I think even the PS4 and Xbox One has some sort of old school Sega collection. Don't quote me on that, I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. Either way, that's what this is, 15 games, and they pumped Phantasy Star, the original Sonic the Hedgehog, and Thunder Force 2, which I think is maybe part of the Shining Force series as well. I don't know. I'm a huge Sega and 16-bit fan, but I wasn't as much into the RPGs of that era, so you'll have to forgive me, guys. I'm not 100% sure there. But that was the first thing that they talked about, and it's like, okay, well, that's cool. Like, it gets me excited because I love 16-bit gaming. I grew up on 16-bit gaming, and I love the Sega Genesis. So this era of gaming is very exciting. Give it to me on my Nintendo Switch that I can play anywhere, and that's great. So I want to obviously understand what are the rest of the 15 games. I think we all want to know what's the full package here, and how are they being delivered to us. Very interesting that we have no mention or anything of a virtual console from Nintendo for the Switch. We're all still waiting for that. But instead, we're getting Sega releasing their own classic games on the Nintendo Switch, apparently all for individual downloads. And I just think that that's pretty interesting. Now, let's get to what, for me, is the biggest part of the evening. And the only thing that really got me excited from what we saw today. And believe it or not, there is going to be a Sega Genesis Mini. It's actually, per this presentation, the Mega Drive Mini. And a lot of you guys probably know the Mega Drive is the actual Japanese territory name for the Genesis. It was the Mega Drive in Japan, it was the Sega Genesis here, and there are, I believe, some subtle differences between the two, but ultimately that's the way it was. Just like Famicom in Japan and NES in the United States, Mega Drive and Genesis. So that's what that was. So, believe it or not, he actually held up a little mini Sega Genesis console, a Mega Drive, I should say, a little mini Mega Drive console that looks just like the NES and SNES minis, and oh my freaking god, that is incredible to me. That is so exciting. That's like my dream come true. It's weird because it's like, isn't that gonna kind of do the same thing as what Sega Ages is supposed to do, but now it's a separate thing you buy, not on your Switch? I don't know. It is what it is. The whole retro gaming thing is just getting more and more confused as it gets bigger in today's current market. I love retro gaming. Grew up on that stuff in the 80s, of course, so it's not like I'm sad about it. But it's just all over the place. Where's the virtual console? Here's all these Mega Man and Sega Ages collections of classic games. Also, here's an SNES Mini and now a Sega Genesis Mini. All the same games in 100 different places. It's just weird. But either way, hey, that's cool, man. I'm not going to complain. I think this is super, super exciting. I believe that this seems to be confirmed to be like a worldwide thing where there's going to be like a Mega Drive Mini in Japan and an Sega Genesis Mini in the other territories of the world. I think that's what's happened. But again, not everything has been confirmed. I had to jump on this video as soon as I could because I'm about to take off as soon as I'm done here. So I'm squeezing this in between a lot more concrete details come out, unfortunately. But still, we have enough to go on. We've seen the darn thing. It exists. And hey, man, I'm excited for this. This is one of those dumb, kitschy, little gimmicky collector things that I just want. I never could get an NES Mini, but I have an SNES Mini, and I love it to death. It just encompasses everything I love about gaming and everything that got me gaming. And I've talked about this a few times. I love the SNES. It is a slightly better machine than the Genesis, but I have a fonder memory of the Genesis because it was the main console that my younger brother and I had during the 16-bit era. I mean, our parents were going to buy us one or the other. Tell us which one you want, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. And I got so used to playing Sonic the Hedgehog at my friend Eddie's house when I was a kid, my good buddy Eddie. I was like, I need a Genesis, I need Sonic the Hedgehog, and so that's what we got. And that's mostly what we played. We ended up getting an SNES down the road, and of course borrowed a bunch of games and stuff, which you did a lot back as a kid in the 80s and 90s. That's how you gamed. You traded your systems and your games all the time. So I experienced the SNES. It's a better machine with a better library, but I love the Genesis so much, and there were so many incredible game experiences on it. So I'm just pumped. I want to see that controller, man. I hope they got a 6-button controller for that. That's what it needs to be. The 3-button controller, ABC, that is not going to get it done, I think, because most of the games you're going to want to include on the Sega Genesis Mini, I keep wanting to say SNES Mini. Everything you're going to want to release on that Sega Genesis Mini, a lot of those games are going to probably require or greatly benefit from the 6-button controller, which in my opinion was one of the greatest controllers ever made when factored into the time that it released. So that's just my personal opinion, controversial as it may be. I don't care what anyone says. You can't convince me otherwise. I love the 6-button controller. Anyway, that was the other announcement, and like I said, that's the thing that got me the most excited, is a freaking Sega Genesis Mini. Okay, now let's get to the third and easily the biggest announcement. While it's not my favorite, and not one that really speaks to me, easily the biggest announcement of the day, and I think that this is truly the real reason that they even wanted to have this presentation and even tried to hype it up a little bit before it went live, because they knew this was coming and they knew it was going to be a big deal and make a lot of people happy, and rightfully so. Just because it doesn't speak to me doesn't mean I'm down on it. Other people are very excited about this, and that totally has value. So what am I talking about? Well, it turns out that finally a Shenmue 1 and 2 HD collection re-release is going to be happening. Hallelujah! All the Shenmue fans out there can lose their minds. My good buddy Mizati is a huge Shenmue fan, and many other people who I know as well. So I know that they're all going to be like crapping their pants with excitement for this, and I am thrilled for everybody who's into it. And hell, maybe even I end up giving it a shot. I mean, I'm not opposed to Shenmue. I just never played it. I never got into it, either the first one or the second one. First was Dreamcast, I believe. Second one, I think, was Dreamcast and the original Xbox, or maybe that was just original Xbox. You guys will have to let me know below. I know for sure it was on the Xbox. I just don't know if it was Xbox and Dreamcast, because maybe the Dreamcast was already dead by the time that came out. So either way, I don't remember. I'm not a diehard Shenmue fan. But we also live in a world where Shenmue 3 was like confirmed, which really means kickstarted a couple of years ago, and that game is just a big mystery. So everyone who loves Shenmue is waiting for Shenmue 3 to see what that game's going to truly be like. And so in the meantime, they're releasing this year, by the way, 2018, an HD remaster of Shenmue 1 and 2. Now, we have to say, it is right now, and probably going to stay this way, only coming to the PS4 and the Xbox One, and I think the PC. So for some absolutely absurd and ridiculous reason, it is not coming to the Switch. And I think that that's a huge missed opportunity. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that it's probably not going to come to the Switch, but maybe it will. And like I said, I want it to, even if I'm not going to play it. I certainly want to see it happen. And if anything, I think it would be smart of Sega. I think it would only benefit the game in the release, because as we've all discussed on this channel many times, you release your game, whatever it is, on the Nintendo Switch, you're gonna make money, you're gonna sell a lot of copies, and you're gonna make a lot of people happy. And you want to get the Shenmue branding out there and get people excited about the name of Shenmue again before Shenmue 3 inevitably makes its return into the spotlight? Put it on the damn Switch! Everyone has a Switch. Everyone wants their games on the Switch. Every time a game is announced that is not first-party Sony or Microsoft, anytime a game is announced, the first and #1 question people are asking, is it coming to Switch? When will it come to Switch? Is there a Switch version? Why isn't it coming to Switch? Why don't you understand you should bring it to the Switch? These are the things people want to know, man. And so it's crazy that it's not confirmed to be a Switch release at this point. We all know that obviously they could make those games work on the Switch. I mean, it is not a question of hardware by any stretch. The Switch could eat that game for breakfast. So we know it's possible. Why? What could possibly be their reason for them not making it on the Switch? I just don't know. But yeah, like I said, that's the other big thing that happened. The biggest thing, arguably. And it was weird the way they presented it, because again, I don't speak Japanese, so I don't know what they were doing, but they were showing a countdown, like a top 10 countdown of like what looked like Dreamcast games. I can't even remember the list of games now. Like Jet Set Radio was there, and all sorts of things. And they were just like counting down. Okay, you're just showing clips of games that we all love. Are these all re-releases? Are you doing a Dreamcast? Do a Dreamcast collection. Oh my god. Maybe they're going to do that. And apparently that's not what it was. It was all a countdown, I guess, just to get to the Shenmue reveal. So that's cool, man. Like I said, I'm stoked about it. This is a huge reveal for the industry, even if it's not a huge reveal for me, for Rob. So that's cool. And honestly, that's kind of all I have to really talk about, because from what seemed to happen after that is they revealed, I believe, trying to follow people's translation in the comments of the live stream, they revealed a new Sakura Wars game. Sakura? I don't know how you say this. It's been like an anime and a card thing and old games forever. I've never played it, watched it, experienced it. Sakura Wars. That's like a new game, I guess, that they're making. And they showed a little reveal reel that had no gameplay, just a bunch of like cherry blossoms falling in like the night, and that's what's happening. And then the guy who was hosting the thing held up like a scroll thing about Sakura Wars, and a couple people were like, oh my god, yes, and most other people were like, this is dumb, I can't believe this is what they're closing with. And yeah, sure enough, that's, I guess, what they closed with. So this Force thing is very niche, I think, and isn't as much of a worldwide appeal sort of announcement as the first three things were. The Sega Ages is a pretty big reveal for the Nintendo Switch. The Mega Drive and Sega Genesis Mini is definitely big news and very huge for me. And then, of course, Shenmue 1 and 2 HD is like the big the big Megaton announcement bomb drop. So that's it. I just wanted to pretty much give you a quick rundown of what happened and my thoughts on each of these announcements, just because it happened to conveniently work out for my busy schedule to make a timely video on this Sega reveal, this Sega FES 2018. I guess FES is fan event something? Fan event Sega? I don't quite know what that means, but that's what this was. And you know, hey, I like the fact that any company, let alone a company I love like Sega, holds their own event to try to just give information to people similar to what Nintendo does. Obviously, this format was nothing like a Nintendo Direct, but I do kind of think it was sort of trying to accomplish the same thing. And even Sony's been doing things like these a little bit more the last couple of years. Microsoft recently started their own Xbox Live or whatever it's called. Xbox Live, or Xbox Inside Xbox is what it is. And so, hey, like, I like Sega. They wanted to just randomly out of nowhere address us with 30 minutes worth of some announcements. Good or bad, it's still better than nothing, I guess. And for me, there's two things I'm excited. Sega Ages is cool. That Sega Genesis Mini, I can't wait. I'm so excited for that thing. I hope we get information and a price and a release date soon. And it's weird because that Sega Flashback thing came out last year, but that thing is apparently garbage on a stick. So hopefully this, the Sega Genesis Mega Drive Mini, turns out to be of the same quality as Nintendo's mini consoles. And if so, then I just think we'll see this trend continue, man. And we'll see more companies and more consoles get the mini treatment over the next few years. And hey, it is what it is. I guess we'll all be collecting mini consoles again. So yeah, it was interesting. It wasn't a great presentation. It wasn't exciting. It was, again, not in English, so very hard to follow. But we got some things announced, and that's always cool, I guess. So those are my thoughts. That's what happened as far as I can tell. By the time you guys watch this when it goes up, maybe a lot more thorough and accurate translations of the news and the reveals has come out that maybe proves some of my information wrong. Maybe somehow I missed something here, but I did the best I could to find what I could before recording. I feel good about it. There's only 4 announcements anyway, so yeah, discuss it below. What do you think? Is this exciting? Is it not exciting? Did you watch? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Are you into the Sega Genesis Mini like I am? Are you more of a Shenmue person? Discuss all that fun stuff below. That is it for me. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule2 Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.